They said a single moment could change everything, but no one ever expected it would happen inside a tiny diner, on the corner of a busy street, with nothing more than $5 crumpled between life and humiliation. Sophia adjusted her plain white dress, the one she had bought 3 years ago at a thrift store and patched countless times since then. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight, she was finally going to meet someone who didn't see her as just a maid. Her friend had insisted on setting her up on a blind date, saying maybe, just maybe, there was someone out there who would appreciate her kindness and heart more than her paycheck. But as she walked nervously into the low-lit diner, she could already feel the stares. Sophia had worked all day at the billionaire Alexander Knight's mansion, scrubbing marble floors and polishing glass chandeliers, only to rush home, change into her patched dress, and pray her old shoes wouldn't squeak when she walked. At the corner table, her blind date was already waiting, a sharply dressed man in an expensive suit, sipping on a coffee as though it was beneath him. He barely glanced at her when she sat down. "You're late," he said flatly, his voice carrying the arrogance of someone who had never known hunger, never worried about bus fare. Sophia offered a timid smile. "I'm sorry, work ran late." He cut her off, eyes narrowing. "Work? What is it you do again?" Sophia hesitated. Honesty had always been her weakness. "I'm a maid. I work at the Knight estate." The man scoffed so loudly that a couple at the next table turned their heads. "A maid? You're kidding, right? My friend said you were simple, but I didn't realize she meant poor." Heat rushed to Sophia's cheeks, her hands trembling under the table. Still, she clung to dignity. "I came here because I was told you were kind." He leaned back in his chair, laughing cruelly. "Kind? To you? Listen, sweetheart, kindness costs money, and you don't even have enough to pay for dinner." He grabbed the menu, waved it, and smirked. "You have $5 in your purse, don't you? That won't even buy dessert here." Sophia froze. How could he know? Because it was true. She had checked her purse 3 times before leaving. $5 crumpled, that was all she had until next week's pay. The man stood up, tossing a bill onto the table for his coffee. "This is pathetic. Enjoy your $5. Maybe you can buy yourself some pity on the way home." He walked out, leaving Sophia sitting in silence, tears stinging her eyes. But what she didn't realize was that someone else had seen everything. From across the diner, a tall figure in a dark suit had been watching. His jaw was tense, his eyes stormy, his knuckles white against the table. It was Alexander Knight, the billionaire she worked for. He hadn't meant to follow her, but when he noticed Sophia leaving the mansion in a rush, he grew curious. Something about her had always stood out. Her quiet strength, her smile despite exhaustion, the way she carried herself with dignity even when the world offered her none. Now, watching her wipe silent tears, he felt something shift in his chest. The woman who had mopped his floors and polished his silver was being humiliated for having only $5. And that night, Alexander Knight made a decision, one that would change both their lives. Chapter 2. Sophia had never felt smaller. She sat in the empty diner booth, staring at the untouched glass of water, wishing she could disappear. But before she could stand up, a shadow fell across the table. "May I sit?" Her eyes widened. Alexander Knight, her employer, the man whose name carried weight in every boardroom across the city, was standing before her. "Mr. Knight," she stammered, quickly rising to her feet. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here. I'll leave immediately." "Sit," he said softly, though there was command in his tone. She obeyed, unsure of what else to do. For a long moment, Alexander just looked at her. Not the way her date had, with contempt, but with an intensity that unsettled her. Finally, he spoke. "I saw what happened, and it won't happen again." Her face flushed with shame. "Please, sir, you don't have to." "I don't have to, but I will," he interrupted firmly. Then, to her shock, he signaled the waiter. "Bring us the best bottle of wine you have. And the chef's special, for both." "Sir, no, I can't," Sophia tried to protest, but Alexander's gaze silenced her. As dishes arrived one by one, steak, roasted vegetables, delicate pastries, Sophia felt the weight of disbelief pressing against her chest. She had come here with only $5, expecting nothing but disappointment, and now she was sitting across from a man who could buy the entire diner without blinking. But it wasn't the money that made her heart race. It was the way Alexander listened to her. He asked about her life, her dreams, the little things she thought no one cared about. And when she confessed she sometimes felt invisible, he leaned forward and said, "You've never been invisible." "Not to me." Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they weren't from shame. The night stretched on, and for the first time in years, Sophia laughed freely. Yet deep inside, a voice whispered, "This isn't real. He's a billionaire. You're just his maid." As they stepped out of the diner, the cool night air wrapping around them, Alexander turned to her. "Sophia, do you know what I saw tonight?" She shook her head. "I saw a woman worth more than every diamond in my vault. And I won't let anyone treat you like less than that ever again." Her breath caught. "But why, Mr. Knight, why me?" His eyes softened. "Because sometimes the richest man in the world doesn't realize he's poor, until he meets someone like you." And in that moment, Sophia realized her $5 had brought her something priceless. Not pity, not charity, but a chance at love she never thought possible. The humiliation of that blind date had ended in the most unbelievable way imaginable, because a billionaire saw her, not as a maid, but as the woman who had captured his heart.